The upcoming week will be a highly dynamic one in terms of European weather, with sharp contrasts developing across the continent almost from the very beginning. We start the week with a strong signal over Eastern Europe, where a polar anticyclone begins to expand southward, advecting cold polar air into the region. What makes this situation remarkable is not the cooling itself, but the mechanism behind it. This is a polar anticyclone descending to unusually low latitudes, something that rarely happens in the European synoptic setup. The reason for this southward push is equally unusual. A massive, almost monster-like, anticyclone, with a central pressure of around 1065 hectopascals, positioned over Greenland, is forcing the core of polar subsidence to shift far south, reaching close to Eastern Europe. By definition, a polar anticyclone carries with it a very dense and well-consolidated polar air mass, especially noticeable at the 2-meter level, where it leads to a rapid and efficient cooling of the affected regions. As this anticyclone advances, its associated cold front will trigger generally light snowfall across Poland, western Ukraine, and northeastern Romania. These snow events will not be particularly intense, but they will mark the arrival of much colder air. As the cold air continues its southward journey into the Balkan Peninsula, it gradually loses some of its extreme thermal characteristics. However, despite this moderation, it plays a crucial role in enhancing precipitation over southwestern Romania and western Bulgaria. In these areas, snowfall will become more significant, with the potential for a local snow cover of up to 10 centimeters. The cooling trend will be especially notable during nighttime. Minimum temperatures are expected to drop to -25 degrees Celsius in Ukraine and Belarus. Here, the existing snow cover will amplify radiational cooling, while the proximity to the main polar air reservoir will further favor extreme cold. More moderate, yet still severe, minimums of -10 to -15 degrees Celsius are expected across northeastern Poland and northeastern Romania. Cold nights will also extend farther south, including parts of southern Romania and even Bulgaria. In areas where a continuous snow cover develops, temperatures may fall to around -5 degrees Celsius, reinforcing the wintry feel. Despite the dramatic nature of this cold outbreak, it appears to represent the final significant winter push affecting Eastern Europe, at least for the time being. Starting Wednesday, the polar anticyclone will be rapidly displaced eastward, retreating behind the Ural Mountains. This shift is driven by the intrusion of fairly intense Atlantic cyclones advancing from the west into Scandinavia, a region that has been dominated by prolonged anticyclonic conditions for quite some time. As these cyclones arrive, Scandinavia will experience extended periods of snowfall accompanied by strong winds, particularly across southern Norway, coastal areas, and parts of Sweden. This marks a clear transition toward a more unsettled and stormy pattern in northern Europe. Further west, these Atlantic cyclones will arrive in quick succession. One system will follow another, keeping Western Europe under constant pressure. The British Isles, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, Portugal, Spain, and even Germany will all be affected by problematic wind conditions, combined with repeated rounds of precipitation. In these regions, rainfall will dominate, supported by sustained warm air advection on the southern flanks of the cyclones, driven by their rotational structure. Snowfall will be largely confined to high elevations, with snow expected mainly above 1,800 meters, particularly across the Western Alps. This circulation pattern will also continue to favor Mediterranean cyclogenesis. As a result, new Mediterranean cyclones will form and impact Italy first, before moving toward the Balkan Peninsula, especially its southern regions. Precipitation totals will become a key concern in several areas. Northwestern Portugal is heading into another week with the potential to exceed 200 millimeters of accumulated rainfall. Similar signals appear across southern France, the Pyrenees, and the western slopes of the French Alps. The same applies to southwestern Italy and nearly the entire western coastline of the Balkans. Here, the influence of topography becomes critical. The terrain strongly enhances precipitation, particularly along the western-facing slopes of the Dinaric Alps, where orographic lifting significantly boosts rainfall totals. Toward the weekend, a gradual northward extension of the Azores High may finally bring an end to the exceptionally wet period across the Iberian Peninsula. At the same time, this shift could introduce a slight cooling trend for the British Isles, France, and Germany, signaling yet another transition in the broader European weather pattern. Overall, Europe is entering a week defined by sharp contrasts and rapid transitions, from intense cold in the east to persistent wind and rain in the west. While winter delivers what appears to be a final statement over Eastern Europe for the time being, Atlantic-driven systems continue to shape a restless and highly active pattern across much of the continent. Those dynamics are a clear reminder that the atmosphere rarely stands still. If you like this overview, we would appreciate if you leave a like and maybe even subscribe to our channel. We try to bring a different perspective into climatology, and your support keeps us going.